Good morning YouTube, Darren here. Today I've got something a little bit different for you. Well, the channel up to this point has just covered cycling specific gear. Now obviously this is a wristwatch, it's not cycling specific, but due to the fact I wear it all the time on the bike, I thought it was worth a mention. Now this is the Casio G-Shock Mudmaster GWG-100, if anyone's interested. I'll leave that below in the bio as well. Basically, I've just upgraded to this a few weeks ago from a digital version to the analog version. Reasons for doing that are I think the analog display aesthetically looks better. Also, it's more legible in low light and at an angle, whereas the digital display was slightly trickier to read, especially when you're on the bike. If I'm sure you all know what a Casio G-Shock's about. I'm sure you've heard the stories and seen the videos, but if not, check it out on YouTube. There are thousands of videos of people smashing these things off walls, dropping them on the floor. The USP of the watch is ultra toughness, and there's, as I say, there's plenty of videos of people testing that to the limit. Talk about drop tests. They're throwing them off buildings, driving over them in cars. They boil them in pans of water, freeze them in the freezer. All kinds of crazy things to them. Just for fun and just to prove the pedigree of the watch. And Casio was serious about making these things tough. Take the strap for example. That support structure there, that triangular block is actually separate from the strap. That's there to support the load on the strap, so you're not accidentally going to tear this. The strap itself hasn't even got pins like a conventional watch. It's bolted onto the body of the watch. It's a resin strap. Double buckle there, you're not pulling that off accidentally. You're probably not going to snap that off deliberately, let alone accidentally, unless you use some sort of lever. Shock resistance of the watch is second to none. Any situation where this is on your wrist and you manage to break it, you won't be worried about your watch because your arm will be shattered. It's simply that tough. So day-to-day life, I don't care what you're doing. In normal day-to-day life, there may be there may be an exception to the rule where someone's broke one, but generally most people, 99.9% of the population, even 99.9% of the active outdoor population, military, what have you, are not going to break one of these accidentally. As you can see, the bezel protects the screen. The screen itself is tough, scratch resistant. The body of the watch is waterproof down to 20 bar. I'm not going to say water resist because it's basically waterproof. There's no time limit when it's submerged. As long as it doesn't go above 20 bar, this thing's not going to leak. Certainly not worried about rain, fast moving water, jet washers, swimming pools. The watch doesn't care basically. This one says mud resist. They all are anyway. Mud, dust, snow, sand, doesn't matter. And that's quite why I like them. I say I'm an auto mechanic at work, so it stands up to everything the garage has to throw at it. I can jam my hands into small places, can drag it past stuff, can snag it on stuff. The only downside there is it's a little bit chunky on the wrist, so sometimes it comes off to allow the hands access, but not because I'm worried about damaging it. I'm more worried about damaging the car I'm working on, to be fair. We'll get into the features. Now it's not the feature-rich version. There is a version that has twin sensor, which is a barometer and a compass. I don't need a compass most of the time. And when I'm on the bike, I have the cycle computer. Again, with the barometer, I've got a Wahoo element that tells me my height above sea level when I'm on the bike. I don't need to know that information any other time, apart from the odd time when I'm hiking. Again, the phone's got that covered if necessary. Plus, it was a lot more money for that version. It does, however, have tough solar, which means the watch runs on an internal battery, which recharges itself with solar energy from the sun, or even from artificial indoor light. Which basically means you don't ever have to worry about charging this thing. You don't ever have to worry about changing the battery in this thing, which is a massive plus point for me. It just cuts out the hassle of having the watch. It does take a long time to charge. You can see the charge indicator there in the bottom display, if the phone will actually focus. Low, medium and high. Right now it's indicating a medium charge. Now it does take a long time to charge. You are talking tens of hours in direct sunlight, hundreds of hours under artificial light. So it does lend itself better to a cyclist watch, given that we're out in the elements all the time. I mean, obviously these watches are designed for active people. They're designed to be outside. They're not designed for, hanging around the office if you like, although you can do that if you like, obviously. Also, if you look at that display there, RCVD, that means the clock is set from an atomic clock via the radio network. You can see there multiband 6, which means it keeps perfect time because it sets itself multiple times a day, which means the watch will actually adjust the time when the clocks go back or forward, just like your phone will, just like your computer will, just like the cycling computer will via the GPS network. One more thing you don't have to worry about. Do I need it to do that? Not really, but it's nice that it does. Other features, it does have a stopwatch, a countdown timer, and a 5-day alarm. Now I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to use those features due to the fact these displays are tiny. My eyes aren't the best and these displays are quite small. It's not a comfortable thing for me to use, and I don't need to. If I need a countdown timer or stopwatch, in all honesty, I'm going for my phone. They're there if I need them. If it's something you'd use, well, again, they're there if you need them. The alarm, I only use an alarm to wake up. Again, it's on my phone. Handles most things these days. But again, if you need an alarm, it's there. And Casio even thought about if these hands were to come down and obscure the display, you just hold this, goes into what's called hand mute mode, which means the hands will sweep out the way of the display, which means you can see all the displays, and it'll stay there until you tell it to sweep back to normal, basically. So if you needed to use the countdown timer or the stopwatch and the hands were in the way, you're sorted. The date's there on the left, quite legible. Again, the odd time when the hands are in the way of the display, and it'd be a faff to move them out the way with this button, but apart from that, no issues. The illuminator, it has two versions of illumination, two methods of illumination, I should say. It says here neon illuminator. Basically the first one is your good old-fashioned glow-in-the-dark paint. It doesn't have any of the more expensive tritium displays, which are radioactive, which will actually glow indefinitely. This is just your basic glow-in-the-dark paint, recharges in the sun. It'll last a couple of hours after you've been out in direct sunlight, which means if you're out and about and you walk into a dark tunnel, cycle into a dark tunnel or space or what have you, you're going to be able to see the display. The hands are treated with it, and the increments around the dial are also treated with it, so at a glance you can still tell the time. Obviously you have the light function. I can't show you that here because I've got the light on the camera and it will overpower the backlight, but it will light up all the increments, the hands and the LCD display also. I use automatic backlight, which means that the watch will actually detect when you lift it up to view your face. The watch will detect it's been angled towards your face and it'll automatically light up, meaning you don't have to press any buttons. Ideal for when you're on the bike, especially at night. It's winter time here in the UK at the moment, so it's a function I use quite a bit. 9 times out of 10 though, you don't even need to do that, because with it being analog and with it being easy to read, you can see even in the dark, even without the glow-in-the-dark paint, without the backlight. That was one of the reasons I went for this model. Okay guys, that's about it. I've been rambling on long enough now. If you've liked this video, you managed to make it to the end, give us a thumbs up. Any questions and comments, leave them down below. Try and answer every one. Guess thanks for watching.